Hey guys, my name is Adam, and I am here with episode number 5 of the News Hub for the 18th of May, 2013. The first topic I have to cover today is that DICE has opened a Star Wars studio in LA, following EA getting the rights to produce Star Wars games for the next couple of years. So, obviously, we all know that DICE and EA work very closely together. They have worked together on projects such as Battlefield, which is DICE's main draw. Everyone knows DICE for Battlefield, and if you don't, then it's kind of silly, because that is a huge system seller on both PC and on the Xbox. So, I'm very happy that they are doing well. Now, with that being said, we all know that LucasArts was shut down by Disney for not really producing enough sales, not actually contributing enough to development, and so they ended up releasing them, and now they have given EA the right for the next couple of years to produce Star Wars games. Obviously, DICE is not new to Star Wars games. If you didn't know, they were the creators of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I think they were also the developers behind the first one, but I'm not positive on that, so don't quote me, but nonetheless, Battlefront 2 was developed by them, and they have a lot of experience. They know what they're doing, and they can do a great job. Battlefront 2, in my opinion, was probably the highlight of my childhood. I really enjoyed that game. I got it when I was like 8, and I played the hell out of it. I loved it, and I still have it to this day. I really enjoy it. I think that it was built really well, and I think it holds the test of time pretty decently. Obviously, the graphics are not so great, but what can you expect from a game that is so old? Now, obviously, DICE couldn't make another one of these because they didn't own the rights to the Star Wars franchise name, and so they had to go through LucasArts, which just never ended up happening now that they are in charge of Battlefield. But with EA getting grasp of the franchise and gaming in general for that, we are now seeing that DICE is back into the scene. And I really am hoping, and this is pretty much the whole internet, we're all hoping that a Battlefront 3 will emerge. I think it will, because DICE wouldn't open a studio in LA devoted to Star Wars unless they meant business, and we're going to be seeing a lot of Star Wars games coming out that will probably be pretty good. We haven't seen a good Star Wars game in a very, very long time. The last good one, in my opinion, was Force Unleashed 1. I didn't really think Force Unleashed 2 was that good, and I mean, the cutscenes were the only real good part about that game. Everything else was just moderately okay, but that's not really the point. What I want to focus on is how DICE is actually getting the rights to produce a game that, in my opinion, was the highlight of the Star Wars generation, and I also think that a lot of other people think the exact same way. Also, something to keep in mind is that Battlefront 2 sold extremely well. It got a ton of sales, and it got the company a lot of hype. So I think it is in DICE's best interest to make the next in the series, Battlefront 3. And I think that we'll be seeing that. Also, something to keep in mind, I don't know how far the contract goes between Disney and EA. I don't know if EA has full creative control, or if Disney's going to be pulling the strings a little bit. I don't know what they can do. Maybe EA will make another Star Wars MMO. Maybe they will make some sort of mature Star Wars game. I don't know how far their contract extends. I don't know if Disney will keep creative control and be able to tell them, you can do this, you can't do this, you know, so on and so forth. So we'll have to find out, but let's move on to the next topic. The Nvidia Shield is set to launch in June, so we're getting very close to the release of this interesting piece of tech. But before I dive into any of the hardware behind this thing, I'd just like to make a disclaimer. I am by no means a master of handheld technology, and I do not know all the hardware that goes into these things. But what I will tell you is that this Nvidia Shield will be able to stream you 720p video on a 5-inch screen. You cannot get 1080p, but what I will say is, how much do you need it on a 5-inch screen? I don't think it really matters too much. The real thing that I want to talk about, though, is the price point that this thing is going to be released at. So, currently, they have it set to launch at a price point of $350, which is actually pretty high. The problem I have with the Shield is that it's designated for a very specific type of gamer, and sadly, that gamer is not me. And I think this is where the Shield is actually going to struggle the most, is in terms of sales, to gamers that just don't need it. I, for one, can happily sit at my computer and play Skyrim. Other people find the need to not be at their monitor and go upstairs, pull out their Shield, and play Skyrim on their couch, and watch some TV in the background, and do other things. But personally, I don't have a need for it, and here's the reason why I'm not getting it. I just don't have a need. I don't want it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing the Shield has done wrong, it's just the fact that I don't have a use for it. Just because I don't have any use for an iPad doesn't mean that it's a horrible piece of tech. Just because I don't have a need for I don't even know, a toilet cleaner, I don't know, but you get the point. It doesn't mean that something's bad just because I don't personally have a need for it. And I think that's what a lot of the internet has been jumping to the conclusion of, I don't need it, therefore it's useless. And that's not true. The fact is that there's always going to be somebody that would like a certain piece of tech, and the Shield is going to provide at least some gamers with an enjoyable experience. The problem that I feel will expand when the next generation of consoles comes out, and the fact that it's going to be coming out this year, I've worried that a lot of gamers aren't going to be willing to drop $350 on this handheld device when they have to save up for the next-gen consoles coming out in the next 4 months. So it's tough to say how well this thing will do. I guess we'll have to see by the time it releases, but as for right now, I'm a little worried about the sales. I think Nvidia is a great company. They're the lead manufacturer of graphics cards, and they certainly know a lot about tech. So I think they can produce something that's great. I just don't know about the price point. And I don't blame them for putting it that, because it's kind of a competitive price. It's certainly not low for something like this, but it's just that the next gen of consoles is coming out and people need to save up for that. At least most people, and a lot of people aren't willing to drop $350 on a handheld device when they already might have a Kindle, a iPad, anything like that. I'll grant that this is different in the fact that you can stream your games directly to this device from your PC, but even still, I don't find an extreme need for it. But let's move on to the next topic. This is actually a really interesting story, so let me lay the foreground here. I am a very firm supporter of Valve and of Steam, so keep that in mind. I don't think it's any secret. I talk about their sales a lot on these news hubs, and I think that people greatly enjoy that. But nonetheless, here's the thing. This story has popped up recently where PC Games ended up asking a bunch of indie devs, do they feel Steam Greenlight actually gets enough attention in terms of the community involvement? And a lot of people, a lot of the developers, said no. I found that interesting. Now, first off, let me lay out what Valve has done to make Greenlight prominent. I will say that Greenlight is kind of tucked away within certain tabs, but what they do is they have, every time a game gets greenlit or anything like that, or they have brand new games go up on the Greenlight so people can vote on them, they do put it on their homepage where, the scrolling bar where they talk about the new releases, the new DLC, random sales that show up on Steam as they do like every day, but yeah, they also show that. So I don't know exactly where indie devs get the fact that Valve doesn't do enough for Greenlight. What I do have to say, though, is the community does not get enough involved in Greenlight. There is only an average of about 15k regular viewers on Greenlight, but the problem comes from the fact that there's always millions of members online, and the fact that there's only 15k regularly viewing Greenlight is pretty bad. I think that the indie devs certainly make a good point where they say something is wrong with that system. I think that they could make Greenlight a lot more prominent. I don't exactly know what the best way to do that is, though. And, I mean, there's a lot of ways that it could be done, but that's up to Steam to decide. I'm just here to tell you exactly what the indie devs feel. I'm pretty surprised at the very low numbers that Greenlight gets. I personally do forget it sometimes. I don't always check Greenlight. When I see something new pop up, I always take a look at it, though, and if I like it, I vote on it. But I honestly just don't get why there's not much attention on it. It's a very good way for great games to get on Steam, and I'm surprised so many people don't take advantage of that. They can get some great games on the service, but instead they just let Valve kind of pick and choose, and that's not always the best way to do things. It takes a lot of time for some games to get on Steam that just don't get enough attention. So we'll have to find out exactly what Steam will do, and I just hope that Steam can respond in a good way and see if they can make this even better. But Steam did go on record, or Valve at least did go on record, saying that traffic has been pretty steady since after the big spike at launch, and the company has also promised further revisions to the Greenlight program, and says it is actively looking into making more tools available for developers before their projects get approval. So it's good. Valve has noticed, and they have released a statement, so that's good. They are taking notice that indie devs are not quite satisfied with their service, and I think that it should be resolved in... I don't really know how long. It really depends on what the best system is and how long it will take them to solve it. So we'll have to find out. But I think that Valve will continue to work on this because the fact that indie games are so popular on Steam is telling of how important Greenlight is to the service. But let's move on to the last topic of the day. I think it's kind of an interesting one. The Twitch.tv app has launched on the Xbox 360. So there's been a lot of statements made, and I would like to read most of them to you, but First off, the Twitch CEO, Emmett Shear, actually said in a statement, "Our app for Xbox 360 brings Twitch video to the television and into the living room of millions of Xbox Live members for the first time." He also went on to say that he is making another huge step in his goal of being everywhere that gamers are, which certainly includes their living room couch, which is a very good point. I'm very happy that we're seeing this gaming broadcasting service being brought to many different systems. Before, Twitch was a PC exclusive, and you could only watch your games like Dota 2, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, all those games over on PC. Now we're getting a little bit more access to the console side of things, and I think that's good. I think all gamers are entitled to have equal service on all the systems they play, for the most part, with a couple exceptions. Now, a general manager of content acquisition at Xbox actually made the statement, "Twitch brings a whole new category of live gaming video content that Xbox 360 owners will love." And he also went on to say, "Now you can get your fill of playing a game, then stay right there on Xbox Live and continue the experience by watching the world play." The app will provide the top 300 live Twitch channels. Viewers can browse by channel, game, or featured content. So it's not going to show all of the Twitch channels, but it's going to show the top ones, and I think that's good. Now, obviously, the Twitch app is going to sort by games, as you would expect. Mainly, you're going to see a lot of League of Legends, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, Dota 2, so on and so forth. And that's where the concern actually comes in. I worry that Xbox users will not actually be interested in those competitive PC games, because all of those that are always at the top of Twitch have always been PC-focused. And it's understandable because Twitch was a PC-only service, and you would have a ton of tournaments being hosted on there. And there still will be, of course, because PC is very relevant with Twitch, but I worry that Xbox users won't actually take interest in those games, and that worries me a little bit. I don't know how good the service will be through Twitch on Xbox, but we'll have to find out. It's an interesting bit of news that actually hit us just a couple days ago, and I'm happy that we're expanding in terms of gaming broadcasting, but I also worry that people won't be as interested over on the consoles because of the current scene that PC has with competitive gaming. Anyway, that does it for this episode of the News Hub. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next week with the next bit of news that I have for you. But until then, I will see you in future videos.